Hey, welcome back. Today's video is going to be kind of more of a tutorial. I'm going to show you guys how to tie those deer hair jigs that I've been using in some of my videos, and they actually work really well for me. A couple things you're going to need if you want to tie your own deer hair jigs is you're going to need a clamp. This will hold your jigs in place. Some thread and a bobbin. This is called a bobbin. Some fly head cement. A good pair of scissors. A bag of jigs. And of course your deer hair. And the deer hair jigs that I'm going to tie are primarily for crappies, and the three colors that are the best for crappies are pink, white, and this chartreuse color. I don't really ever use any other color for crappies. Pink and white are mainly my two favorite colors for those, and those work really well. But I'm just going to bust out a jig here, show you guys how to tie your own jigs, because it's actually really cost effective. I was in the tackle shop today picking up this stuff, and some of the jigs that are almost exactly like the ones I'm going to tie today were like $1.50 to $3, and I bought 20 jigs, a ton of hair, new thread, cement for around $20, and I can tie about 80 jigs out of that $20 that I spent. So I mean, it's super cost effective, and it's actually just a lot of fun too. So I'm going to give the camera to my buddy Mason, and he's going to film me tying some deer hair jigs. Okay, so first step, pretty easy. You're just going to take your jig head, stick it inside the clamp, tighten it down like that. And what I like to do is I'm going to take my rubber cement, and you can get all this stuff at your local tackle shop, and if not there, you can get it online too. But I'm going to take my cement here, and I'm just going to use a toothpick and just barely, you just need a little dab, and I'm just barely going to coat that jig head like that. And all that's going to do is keep your first layer of thread down. And then you take your thread and bobbin, and you kind of run that thread along the hook like that, and you just wrap that around, I don't know, until you feel comfortable with it. But you just wrap that a bunch of times, like so. Then I'm going to take a little bit more cement and just dab that over the top of that thread, just so that holds down like that. Okay, now that you got your thread on, the next thing you want to do is grab your clump of hair, and again, I just got this from the local tackle shop. You just pinch off a good clump of that in your hair, in your hand. Sorry. Just get a good pair of scissors. You cut that off like so. So you got a good clump of hair in your hand like that, and you've got that cement on there too. So what you kind of want to do is, so you can cover the entire hook, you put that clump on there, but then you kind of massage it over top of the jig head too. So you got hair all the way around that jig like that. And then next, you just take that thread that you still have running around there, and you just wrap that a bunch of times. And you just wrap and wrap and wrap until you're done getting all that hair matted down on top of there. Yep, so then you just wrapping until, I like to wrap until I can't see any more pink through that thread, just because it looks a little bit better. But now this is going to be the most important part, and this is, you just kind of got to pull off that extra hair. This is the part where you tie a knot to keep that thread down. And all you do is you just pull out a little extra string, and then you put your two fingers on that and wrap that around, so you create a loop in your finger like that. And then you just take your fingers and wind that line on itself 2 or 3 times, and you put that over the top of the jig head again and just pull it tight. And then you got a nice knot. I do that about 2 or 3 times. Just like so. I'll do it one more time. Okay, so you got your knot tied. Take your scissors, cut off that string, and then go back to your rubber cement. You don't really need to do this, but I like to, just because you'll catch more fish per jig. They won't pull the hair off as easily. And you just dab that glue right on that thread, so you can keep that thread down and keep that hair from pulling out. And you take it off, and there's your first deer hair jig, just like that. Perfect, just like from the store. And the reason I really like to use jig heads with deer hair on them, as opposed to like a rubber or plastic bait or something, is this is really going to keep you from, when a fish bites it, and if you don't set the hook, it's going to keep you from what I call getting your pants pulled down. And what I mean by that is, if you take this plastic bait here, you know, a fish comes and hits it, but you don't set the hook and you don't get him, you're going to get a bait that looks like that when you reel it back in. And that's pretty much really all that's going to do is just save time so you don't have to fumble with your tackle between each cast. You're just going to really have that streamlined look in the water. The hair doesn't get pulled off very easily, and you're never going to get your pants pulled down. But you get the idea. It's super easy, super cost effective. I mean, you can't go wrong. I've had jigs that I've caught 40, 50 crappies on before I had to pull the rest of the hair off because some of it got bit off. But I mean, I can probably tie about 80 jigs on what I've got here. And what I'm actually going to do is, if you go on my Instagram page, I'm doing a little promotion where I'm going to tie up a bunch of these jigs and I'm going to fill up this tackle box. And if you like my video on Instagram, and if you go on my Facebook, hit me up on Facebook. But if you like that video on Instagram, on Friday, I'm going to pick just a random person that liked it, and I'm actually going to send you this tackle box full of these deer hair jigs. And I can't guarantee it, but I've caught a lot more fish on a jig like this than I have on a jig like this. And you don't have to fumble around, get your pants pulled down. You're always going to have that perfect, minnow kind of profile on one of these jigs when you get them in the water. And they're a lot better than rubber bait in my experience, and you're not going to go wrong with these jigs. So I hope that you learned something, and I hope you can tie your own jigs now. See you later.